There it goes. All right. All I'm gonna do right now is change guitar strings. When I check out this Black Sabbath tribute for this track, Black Sabbath. Volume 4. Check it out. Let's check it out. What the fuck's in? Let's check it out. All I'm doing right now is changing strings only. I'm not gonna play or anything like that. I'm just gonna change my strings. It's got to be done. Here we go.
Out the year, playing over 100 shows. Master of Reality. Contending with 105-degree fever and laryngitis, guitarist Tony Iommi was down with the flu, and drummer Bill Ward and bassist Geezer Butler were both in desperate need of a rest. Left with no choice, the band canceled their European tour dates for November and December of 1971, and then after a final U.S. show in October, they returned to England for a 2-month break. Despite their depleted state, Black Sabbath had already begun thinking about their next album. Just a month after finishing Master of Reality, they started writing and rehearsing new material at Rockfield Studios in May 1971. 7 months later, in January 1972, they regrouped in their hometown of Birmingham to continue polishing the new songs. This time, they wanted to focus more on melody and preserving their trademark heaviness. No one had expected much from them. Now, Black Sabbath were regularly mentioned alongside the biggest names in rock, such as Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple. Like the band, the stakes were high. Zeppelin had recently released their iconic Untitled 4th album, and Deep Purple was pumping out classic album after classic album. While across the Atlantic, Alice Cooper had delivered 2 career-defining records the year before, while Grand Funk Railroad was packing arenas from coast to coast. With their peers producing monumental work, Black Sabbath knew they couldn't afford to rush the next project. Gone were the days of recording an album in just 3 days. The band was ready to take their time and create something that would move them into the next phase of Black Sabbath.
You guys seen this documentary?
Ozzy said, "The Master of Reality album, I didn't like it at all. It was too rushed, and the sleeve was a load of crap. It was so quickly done. We didn't really have the chance to do what we wanted to do. The first album was even worse. We did that in just 2 days. You know the Led Zeppelin second album? The one with all those incredible effects? Well, that was what we wanted for the album, but all we got was flat sounds. After Master of Reality, we said, to hell with all of them. We'll do it ourselves. We were fed up with people telling us what to do. I mean, I still like the first albums, but they could have been done a lot better." During rehearsals, the band minus Tony would be at a nearby pub getting snookered, while Iommi would try to come up with some new riffage to jam on. This weight on Iommi would be a constant moving forward, making him the band's de facto leader. Each band member would offer their valuable contribution to the music, but it almost always started with a riff from the Lord of Doom. Around January 17th, 1972, the Sab 4 went to Marquee Studios in London and recorded Snowblind, FX, Tomorrow's Dream, and other backing tracks for their next album. Ozzy told Andrew Taylor the same week the reason the band for the first...
I gotta pause it once in a while. I'll get like a copyright strike. This thing will think I'm stealing. I'm stealing somebody else's material. I'm not. I'm just changing my guitar strings while listening to a documentary on one of my favorite bands of all time. How's everybody doing today? All I'm doing today is changing guitar strings. I'm not playing or anything like that. I'm just changing guitar strings this next hour or so. That's it. While I enjoy, check out this documentary on Black Sabbath I haven't seen. Gotta get rid of that white spot. Can you guys see the white spot? Yeah, you guys kind of see it. Alright, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. There we go. Changing guitar strings on a four-way rose is not the way a rose is not fun. Let me tell you. I would almost rather do yard work than change guitar strings. You know what? Not almost. I would. I'd rather do yard work than change guitar strings.
Would be self-producing the album instead of using the producer for the first 3 Sabbath albums, Roger Bain. We felt we wanted to change, so we'll be producing ourselves. A producer can't know our music well enough. He can only advise. We can see things that an outsider is going to miss. I only would say about Bain, it's not like we were fed up with Roger Bain or anything. I thought he was alright, but we had done so much studio work by then, we felt we knew how to do it ourselves. It was also reported at this time that the album would likely be out by March of '72. At this point, there was only talk of mixing the album in the US. For now, the focus was making up the canceled Master of Reality shows from 2 months prior. Almost a year after their last British shows, Black Sabbath kicked off the second leg of their Master of Reality tour with 2 sold-out nights at the Town Hall in Birmingham. Opening for them was Wild Turkey, a band led by ex-Jethro Tull bassist Glenn Cornick, who had briefly been a bandmate of Tony Iommi during his short stint with Jethro Tull. Through the 2,500-watt PA system, Sabbath delivered classics like Children of the Grave and Iron Man, while also debuting 2 new songs, Snowblind and Tomorrow's Dream. The photos taken during the shows by Keith McMillan, aka Keith, would end up being the cover and gatefold images for Volume 4. Keith was the in-house designer for Sabbath's record label, Vertigo, and the man responsible for the photography and artwork on the first 2 Sabbath records, as well as the poster included with Master of Reality. The tour included a return to London's Royal Albert Hall on February 17, 1972. Just 1 year earlier, Sabbath had been banned from playing their January 5th show at the venue, with no clear reason given. Speculation suggested that their lyrics and reputation contributed to the ban. However, as Sabbath's popularity grew, the ban was lifted, allowing them to play at the venue on April 26, 1971, where they closed out their Paranoid tour. Unbeknownst to anyone at the time, their 1972 performance would become the last time they played at this historic venue. 2 months after the show, the Royal Albert Hall's council imposed a ban on all rock and pop concerts due to concerns about audience behavior. Although the ban was eventually lifted, Black Sabbath never returned to the venue. Quickly forgetting the toll of the previous year's touring, Sabbath embarked on a grueling U.S. tour, playing 32 concerts in 34 days.
Damn.
Dubbed the Iron Man Tour, this new trip started just 5 days after concluding their English shows. Around this time, manager Patrick Meehan proposed that the band finish recording their album at the record plant in Los Angeles, California.
32 shows in 34 days, man. No wonder they call it the Iron Man Tour. That's a lot of work right there. Damn. I don't know how Ozzy freaking pulled off the vocals for that tour. Partied his ass off and still made it to the next show. That's pretty amazing. It might seem like it's easy to get up there and jam, but hell no, man. And then driving, you forget about the traveling. Forget about they probably weren't. Oh man, you know they didn't have AC or anything back then in the car, so traveling was a mother effort back then. Because the roads had a lot. It was a lot more dangerous to drive back in the day than it is now. All right, here we go.
The advantages were compelling: lower recording cost, avoidance of the UK's 90% tax rate, a friend's mansion where they could stay during recording, and perhaps most enticingly, easier access to cocaine. The band was easily convinced. The U.S. tour kicked off on March 1st, 1972 in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and by the very next show, they were already getting slagged by the U.S. critic Diane Coleman. Said of their March 2nd Miami show, "What really irked me is that the audience reacted just as though it had just seen an excellent performance, rather than an awful one. Our Miami audience is so starved for live rock entertainment that even the worst noise is applauded and..." Oh man, this part of... Who let Karen become a music critic? What's up, Geographic Guy? What's going on? What's going on? Yes, I'm returning slowly but surely. Slowly but surely. Right now, I'm just changing guitar strings. I broke a string, so I have to rebuild the channel.
Video by video, video by video. You see, there's hardly anybody here, but it is what it is, man. Gotta keep going. I'm pretty sure that today we got about 5,000 views with the videos I put up, which is cool. So just gotta do it every day. Every video's gotta get at least 5,000 views. Now, I put up about, I don't know, 7 or 8 videos today, so that's probably why I got so many views. All right, here we go. If you're a graphic guy, let me know when you're coming. Let me know when you're coming.
With large sums of money, audiences should learn to distinguish between talent and trash. Most of the U.S. tour dates featured Wild Turkey as the opening act, with the Sweat Hogs joining for a few shows on the East Coast. 10 days into the tour, the prog rock group Yes joined the lineup shortly after releasing their classic album.
So my uncle told me about this tour. My uncle Ralph went to this tour, and my uncle Ralph was a big Yes fan, and he was a huge Black Sabbath fan. He did tell me that in his opinion, he told me that in his opinion, Yes blew away Black Sabbath. And we all know what happened with Black Sabbath toured with Van Halen. It was over. But yeah, my uncle Ralph, he dug Yes. He was there. He was there at that tour.
This unusual combination of artists was the result of Sabbath's manager Meehan and Yes's manager Brian Lane co-managing Wild Turkey.
You like prog rock?
Iommi said it was an extremely unlikely combination. They hated us because I'm sure in their minds they were the clever players and we were the working class. Sometimes they talked and other times they would walk straight past you. Geezer said a lot of those prog rock bands were really snooty. They were often from middle class backgrounds, had been to university or art school, and were usually virtuoso musicians to boot. As a result, they looked down on us as working class oafs from the provinces who couldn't play our instruments properly or read music.
Wasn't snooty.
Ozzy said,
"Man, that is fucked up. That is messed up." You could kind of see the logic in Tony Iommi and Geezer's Butler's comments. These are all middle class guys, and Black Sabbath was pretty much from just a blue collar working class community in Birmingham. So they didn't go to universities and all that stuff. Learn music, they freaking learned everything by ear, just jamming out. Here we go. I don't like going
to these concerts where the bands try to baffle you with science. Hop onto a Moog, play 35 violins. It's just nowhere for me. The one band member of Yes who got along with Sabbath was keyboardist Rick Wakeman, who would later record with Sabbath and Ozzy. Rick's son, Adam Wakeman, would tour with Ozzy on solo and Sabbath tours. The U.S. tour didn't take long to run into a pearl-clutching conservative who tried to censor their show. On March 7th in Spokane, Washington, Republican Councilwoman Margaret Leonard took issue with Sabbath's tune, Sweetleaf. Holding a copy of Master of Reality, she said the city council's rental of the Coliseum to the group was contributing to the delinquency of minors.
Think of the children.
She suggested placing restrictions on the venue's contracts with the bands, such as preventing Black Sabbath from playing Sweetleaf. If they violated the restriction, the band would forfeit profits from the show. Councilman Del Jones felt the council would be on very thin ice if they started singling out Black Sabbath from the other groups that perform in a public building. Councilman Jack Winston said tickets had already been sold and arrangements made for the group's appearance in the Coliseum. I don't know how we can correct that, he said. The council then unanimously approved the rental agreements after Leonard was informed the band had volunteered not to play Sweetleaf at the March 15th gig. Still, she wanted a full report after the show.
This is bullshit.
It was asked at the follow-up council meeting if the new smoking ban for the Coliseum was obeyed at the Sabbath show. Warren Butts, Coliseum manager, responded, it was entirely ineffective. It was also stated that concert goers were smoking marijuana and those attending the show had to watch them with blue haze. Councilwoman Leonard asked if the band played Sweetleaf. Butts replied, I don't know whether they sang it or not. The music was so loud it ruptured their eardrums. For the record, Sabbath did not play Sweetleaf that night, but they did play Snowblind.
Don't take drugs.
The March 18th, 1972.
Oh, that's so funny. San Diego Sports Arena. Who was there? Does anybody know? Does anybody know anyone that was at any of the U.S. shows? What's that? How Pedro Almeida Santos. How Pedro Almeida Santos. Obrigado, hermano. Estamos juntos. Valeu. I'm just changing guitar strings. Today I'm changing guitar strings and checking out this Black Sabbath documentary, brother. Checking out this Black Sabbath documentary while I change guitar strings. Who knows somebody, or who was there in 1972? Is it 1972 or 1975? 69, 68, 69, probably 1972. Who knows somebody that went to see Black Sabbath in 1972? Oh yeah, duh, it says it right there. Here I'm trying to do math. 1972, San Diego, California. There we go.
Sabbath concert in San Diego would later inspire a scene in Cameron Crowe's semi-autobiographical film, Almost Famous. At the time, Crowe was a 14-year-old writer for the San Diego Door, an underground publication, who also contributed to Cream magazine under Lester Bangs' guidance. In his Rolling Stone...
Damn, does anybody remember Cream magazine? I think my uncle gave me a couple Cream magazines when I was a kid. I don't think I know it. My uncle gave me a couple of Cream magazines when I was a kid with Robert Plant on the cover, and then I think Kiss. Those are the early ones. It's some Van Halen and Davey Roth. That was my early exposure. My earliest exposure to rock magazines, Cream. And then later on was Hit Parader. Does anyone remember that? Cream and Hit Parader. Greetings, Fantazzmo. Para vos and Yvette. Obrigado, hermano. Fabian. ¿Cómo estás, Fabian? Greetings, brother. How you doing? Right now, I'm just changing guitar strings. A lo mejor va a ser un poquito aburrido. No las estoy cambiando estas cuerdas. I'm just changing these guitar strings and checking out this Black Sabbath documentary. Meanwhile, it usually takes me about an hour. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. I'll probably come back live playing tomorrow. Here we go. Watching a Black Sabbath documentary.
Of Sabbath's debut album, it's worth noting that Bangs had notoriously roasted their effort. But 2 years later, he made a complete 180 on the band, writing a 2-part essay published in Cream magazine stating, despite the blitzkrieg nature of their sound, Black Sabbath are moralists, like Bob Dylan, like William Burroughs, like most artists trying to deal with a serious present situation in an honest way. They are a band with a conscience who have looked around them and taken it upon themselves to reflect the chaos in a way that they see as positive.
Hi, I'm William Miller, and I'm here for the Cream magazine to interview Black Sabbath.
The actual concert featured Black Sabbath headlining with Yes and Wild Turkey as supporting acts, though Crowe's film adapts this detail for dramatic purposes, showing the protagonist attempting to interview Black Sabbath. Crowe interviewed Yes and Wild Turkey that evening, not the headliners. However, Crowe eventually got his interview with Ozzy Osbourne when Black Sabbath returned to San Diego on September 10th, 1972. I have linked all 3 interviews in the description.
All right.
The final chapter of Black Sabbath's Master of Reality tour collided with Easter weekend, igniting a firestorm of religious controversy not only in the United States, but also in Puerto Rico. In South Carolina, local churches rallied against the band, flooding the Carolina Coliseum with petitions demanding the cancellation of their Easter concert.
What's kind of cool about this documentary is they actually do use some audio from Black Sabbath. I understand maybe it's like live and it's not such good quality audio, but
Influential AM radio personality Ben Deckel took the airways to condemn the scheduling of a heavy metal show on such a sacred holiday. Yet the controversy only served to fuel interest. In a twist of irony, the attempted boycott helped pack the Coliseum nearly to capacity as fans flocked to see what might be their last chance to catch Sabbath on this tour. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! The Merry Soul Pop Festival, held in Puerto Rico in April 1972, aimed to be a tropical version of Woodstock, complete with palm trees and ocean breezes. The lineup featured bands like Black Sabbath, the Allman Brothers, Alice Cooper, Fleetwood Mac, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and many others. However, scheduling the festival during Holy Week on a deeply Catholic island led to chaos, conflict, and poor decisions. The festival's remote location and lack of traffic management resulted in gridlock roads, leaving Sabbath stranded at their hotel in San Juan. Their manager, Patrick Meehan, assessed the situation and made a call to abandon the gig. The band had already received payment, but without helicopters, they had no practical means to reach the venue. As their crew waited in the hot sun at the festival site, unaware of the decision, the band members relaxed in the hotel bar, making escape plans. Meanwhile, at the festival grounds, tensions escalated as chaos took hold. Local workers hired to prepare the site faced logistical challenges as supplies failed to arrive on time. The religious locals, already irritated about hosting a festival filled with drugs, nudity, and rock music during Easter, began tearing down American flags and harassing festival goers. Makeshift stalls selling food and water were exploiting desperate fans with exorbitant prices, while machete-wielding residents added a threatening element to the atmosphere. Only 35,000 attendees had arrived by the second day, half the expected crowd. Rumors of injunctions and events cancellations created panic, and many fans who had paid $149 for a ticket package that included airfare found themselves stranded at the site or desperately trying to reach the airport where more confusion awaited. Delays in chartered flights left sunburned and frustrated concert goers stuck in military tents set up by the Puerto Rican Army. Back at the festival, disillusionment hung heavy in the air.
All right.
Dream of a tropical Woodstock.
You know what? I didn't see that last.
Equipment failures, no shows, and an angry local populace created a dangerous environment.
Sorry about that, guys. I had to take a call. Let me see if there's any extra chats. Right on, Fabian. Right on, brother. Appreciate you. So, who knows somebody that went to the Black Sabbath tour in 1972? I know my uncle Ralph went. He told me about it. He is of the belief that yes, Blue Sabbath away. You know, he was a huge Black Sabbath fan, but I guess he liked Yes's performance better. Do you guys know anybody that was there in 1972, or were you there in 1972? All right, just type it in. And I'm just changing guitar string today. I know this is like watching paint dry. This is like some boring stuff, but I gotta do it. And changing guitar strings on the Floyd Road is never fun. Never fun. It'd be great if one day I didn't have to change my own guitar strings anymore. That'd be awesome. Here we go.
Promoter Alex Cooley became the target of angry fans and frustrated. Held in Puerto Rico in April 1972, aimed to be a tropical version of Woodstock, complete with palm trees and ocean breezes. The lineup featured bands like Black Sabbath, the Allman Brothers, Alice Cooper, Fleetwood Mac, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and many others. However, scheduling the festival during Holy Week on a deeply Catholic island led to chaos, conflict, and poor decisions.
Yeah.
Remote location and lack of traffic management resulted in gridlock roads, leaving Sabbath stranded at their hotel in San Juan. Their manager, Patrick Meehan, assessed the situation and made a call to abandon the gig. The band had already received payment, but without helicopters, they had no practical means to reach the venue. As their crew waited in the hot sun at the festival site, unaware of the decision, the band members relaxed in the hotel bar, making escape plans. Meanwhile, at the festival grounds, tensions escalated as chaos took hold.
They were already paid. Damn, they were already paid for the gig, and they got canceled. Oh shit! What a trip, man. That's horrible. Holy moly!
The site faced logistical challenges as supplies failed to arrive.
Wow.
The religious locals, already irritated about hosting a festival filled with drugs, nudity, and rock music during Easter, began tearing down American flags and harassing festival goers.
Wow.
Makeshift stalls selling food and water were exploiting desperate fans with exorbitant prices, while machete-wielding residents added a threatening element to the atmosphere. Only 35,000 attendees had arrived by the second day, half the expected crowd.
Wow.
Rumors of injunctions and events cancellations created panic, and many fans who had paid $149 for a ticket package that included airfare found themselves stranded at the site or
Wow.
desperately trying to reach the airport where more confusion awaited.
Nightmare.
Delays in chartered flights left sunburned and frustrated concert goers stuck in military tents set up by the Puerto Rican Army.
Wow, that's crazy.
Back at the festival, disillusionment hung heavy in the air.
Man, it's
The
horrible.
dream of a tropical Woodstock had evolved into a humid nightmare. Equipment failures, no shows, and an angry local populace created a dangerous environment. Promoter Alex Cooley became the target of angry fans and frustrated authorities, eventually fleeing the island, smuggling out in a trash-filled Volkswagen bus. Yet for all the chaos, uncertainty, and at least 4 deaths, some attendees still reflect fondly on the time at Mars Soul. For them, the festival wasn't a disaster. It was a legendary, unpredictable adventure they still talk about today.
Man, you gotta make the most of wherever you're at. Fuck it. You know what I mean? I'm sure some of the bands didn't show up. It was a bummer, but hey, they're still there. Might as well party your ass off. Who's still here? Oh yeah. All right.
After completing the Master of Reality tour, it was time for the band to finish writing and recording their next album. They traveled to Bel Air, California, where they stayed at a mansion owned by John DuPont, heir to the DuPont fortune. This is the same DuPont family that earned $15 billion in war contracts between 1964 and 1972 and was indirectly involved in producing napalm for the Vietnam War. The situation of a liberal working-class anti-war band staying in the house of a conservative donor to Nixon made for an unusual pairing. Iommi said it was a way to avoid the English tax man, and the studio rates were better, cheaper out there as well. More important than that, we thought it would be nice to really go somewhere else to try and get a different vibe.
What's it called?
Bollocks!
Bollocks 1.
Wheels of Confusion, originally titled Illusion, stands out as one of Black Sabbath's most ambitious tracks. Rather than bursting with a typical opener energy, it feels more like a deep cut, balancing raw power with sprawling complexity. From the first notes, Tony Iommi's guitar tone sounds both commanding and lonely, almost like it's crying.
Oh, hell
These
yeah.
lyrics reflect the band's mindset in 1972. Despite massive success with Paranoid and Master of Reality, Sabbath faced pressures, success, and disconnection from their earlier ideals. The nostalgic longing in Wheels of Confusion mirrors their shift from humble Birmingham roots to the chaotic reality of international fame. Before stardom, they were simply 4 lads escaping factory life. The closing lines show the band grappling with life's impermanence and the fragility of success. Ozzy summed it up in 1972. The society trip in England is that you go to school, you get a job, and at age 21, you get married. You work the rest of your life in a factory, and when you retire at age 65, you get a gold watch. 45 years in a factory with stinking oil polluting the land. Quick side note, that quote was taken by UCLA student Harold Bronson, who actually went to the record plant to watch Sabbath record in Studio B. The band would not allow Bronson's photographer to take any photos because Ozzy was so wasted. From the article, Ozzy was working on his vocals. For the best coke, just ring 389098. Only $100, he exclaimed, grinning stupidly from behind the microphone. I'm so stoned, he moaned while gesturing like Frank Sinatra. Ironically, Bronson would go on to co-found Rhino Records, who would later be a partner in reissuing many Sabbath albums, including box sets. I will link to the article in the description.
It's interesting.
Originally written as a separate song, The Straightener starts 5 minutes into Wheels of Confusion as its coda. The Straightener was never played in concert, but it does feature Geezer playing his electric Fender 12-string, the first time a non-Iommi guitar appeared on a Black Sabbath record.
You know, some of these, oh man, Tomorrow's Daydream is such a jam. These fucking strings are so tight, goddamn. Alright, here we go. It's taking me forever. It usually takes me about an hour or so. Sometimes it takes me a little more if I wind up breaking another string in the process, or can't get a handle on one of these tight ass strings. But yeah, it usually takes me about an hour or so. Here we go.
Black Sabbath was never focused on achieving success through singles. In January 1972, Ozzy stated, "We'd like to be able to put out singles when we feel like it, and not to have to worry about follow-ups. But there's a difference of opinion as to whether we should release a new single." Tony added, "Basically, we're an album band, and that's why we didn't need a single as a follow-up. A lot of people criticized us as a teeny bopper group, but we've been able to prove in recent years that we didn't need a single." When asked if singles played an important role in television and radio, Tony responded, "Who is interested in television or radio? We don't need that. We dealt with that in the early days. We no longer depend on the mass media." 9 months later, it was decided that Tomorrow's Dream would serve as the single from Volume 4. Unfortunately, it failed to achieve any significant chart success. Tomorrow's Dream was reportedly among the 3 tracks recorded in January 1972 at Marquee Studios. By the time the band reached the record plant in Los Angeles, it's speculated they wanted to change the lyrics, so they re-recorded the vocals to include the new version. You can hear the alternative lyrics on various bootlegs that captured shows prior to 1972.
You know, this documentary is actually pretty. I mean, I'm digging it because you know, I've learned some stuff that I didn't know about that chapter in Black Sabbath's career myself. So it's pretty cool. Anybody here? Right on. Finally got this G string off. I'm telling you, I'd rather do yard work than change the strings on a Floyd Rose. On a guitar with a Floyd Rose, man. Yeah.
The final lyrics were inspired by Mark Bolan and the glam band T-Rex. Butler explained, "Every time I've seen Bolan, it always reminded me how fragile everything is. He was a massive star in England, but not really heard of outside of England. And it was just really about how delicate being a pop star is. Like one day you're massive, the next day you're forgotten about." Noted Black Sabbath historian Rob Dwyer wrote, "Volume 4 sounds as brown and resin-saturated as the carpets of the recording studio likely was. While Eddie Van Halen might have laid claim to the brown sound in describing his own guitar tone, Black Sabbath clearly invented it. The brown sound represents a foundational approach to guitar tone that blends distortion, warmth, and clarity." Dwyer's observations suggest Black Sabbath pioneered a sonic landscape that will profoundly influence subsequent rock musicians.
Who likes Black Sabbath here? We'll do a little Sabbath for you. Do a little something off of after you get out and finish
Fuck yeah. Oh man, I love it. Have you guys heard the Van Halen bootlegs of them jamming covers? It's a trip because I haven't heard this. I haven't heard them do Tomorrow's Daydream, but it's so cool to hear them do like the Rover. Fucking Dave makes everything a party. It's, you know, the Rover's semi. It's fucking super sexy, semi melancholic. But when Dave's singing, it sounds like a party tune. It's very awesome.
Van Halen's cover of Tomorrow's Dream 4 years later symbolizes this musical lineage, with the band carrying forward and transforming Tony Iommi's innovative guitar sound.
Well, you know, before David Lee joined Van Halen, Eddie and Alex were playing, you know, our Black Sabbath songs in the Black Sabbath albums almost in their entirety. So they were huge, huge Black Sabbath fans.
Changes is one of Black Sabbath's most polarizing songs. For some fans, it's a bold and heartfelt departure from their signature sound. For others,
Oh man, I gotta play something for you guys. I gotta play this. So you guys, who knows Changes? This Black Sabbath song.
it's the track they skip when revisiting Volume 4. Despite its divisive reception, Changes remains one of the band's most unique creations, showcasing their willingness to experiment and push their music into unexpected emotional territory. And its legacy has grown far beyond what anyone could have imagined.
This is a good. I like this doc. Whoever did this documentary, man, hats off to you, brother. You did a good job, because I like, you know, earlier they had Beavis and Butthead. They've got these cool little captions in the back that are comical. But Changes. There's an R&B singer that did Changes. Changes. Right here.
Am I right? The last tune you're going to do for us is Changes?
This guy right here, Charles Bradley. He did a version of it. It's fucking badass. I love it. This guy right here is. Oh. Yeah.
I feel so sad. I have lost the best friend that I ever had. She was my woman. I love her so. But it's too late now.
Yeah.
I let her go. I'm going through changes. I'm going through changes.
Pipe song. Wow.
Oh, baby. Oh,
Yeah. Charles Bradley. Charles Bradley.
we shed the years. We shed each day. And not together. We found a way. But soon the world had its evil way. My heart was burning.
Yeah.
Love went astray. I'm going through changes. I'm going through changes. Oh, in my life.
A ver. only got 2 more strings to go. Here we go. It's like Lady Fantazzmo for myself. We're gonna do a workout. So we're back a little bit to just do a workout. After that, I'll break these strings in. Oh,
To realize
found it.
I can still hear her.
Woo! Damn.
Last
Goodbye.
and now all my days I feel with tears. Wish I could go back and take these years. I'm going through changes. I'm going through changes. Oh, it's so bad. Hey, in my life, it's got me the same. In my life, oh,
Who's heard that before?
things that have changed the way in my life. And it's so bad.
Well, that's a great version right there. That's a great version of Black Sabbath's Changes right there. I don't know if you guys ever heard that before. Here we go.
One small revelation about the song is that Tony was not at DuPont's mansion when he started writing it. He was at his manager's rented home. Iommi said in December to Go Set magazine, changes just came to me while sitting at Pat Meehan's piano in his LA home. I was sitting, playing, clunking at the piano, feeling down and depressed, and it just came out. That was my first time at playing the piano, and the last. I enjoyed it. Ozzy said, I think Tony is one of the most talented guys I've ever met. None of us have been to music college, and if someone put music in front of me now, well, I couldn't even read English writing, let alone music writing. But Tony has this natural ability. He'd never played piano before, never before, and yet he sat down and got changes together at the piano after a day. Then back at the mansion, Iommi started plucking on it again, and Ozzy and Geezer overheard and joined in. Geezer adding texture with the mellotron, and Ozzy improvising melodies and scratched words, which Geezer later recrafted into the final lyrics. Those lyrics reflected drummer Bill Ward's personal struggles at the time. While recording in Los Angeles, Ward ended his relationship with his wife after meeting Melinda Strait, known as Misty. Decades later, Ward reflected on its impact in Rolling Stone. Yeah, I found out it was about me, he said with a laugh. I think at the time, maybe a year or two before, I'd gone through a very sad situation with my first wife and started a new relationship. I guess Geezer or maybe Oz had seen the effect that it had on me, but I actually couldn't see the effect it had on me. Ozzy felt a strong connection to the song, describing it in 1972. There'll be a lot of gentle things on the new album. One song, Changes, about a guy, whether he's with the band or not, I'm not going to say, who quits with his woman, is the ultimate in the way I feel about things. It's more of a song rather than a frustration reliever screamer. It's just a pretty slow ballad. Tony Iommi's first time playing piano with Sabbath wasn't the band's first time to feature piano. On August 26, 1969, just 4 days before their final show as Earth at Banklands Youth Club in Workington, England, the band recorded a track called The Rebel. For years, it was believed that the song's composer was Norman Haynes, the pianist on the track and a bandmate of Sabbath's first manager, Jim Simpson. However, Black Sabbath lyrics expert Joe Bongiorno's meticulous research has clarified the true composers, Cyril, Doral, and Charles Ward. This was confirmed by Charles Ward's niece, Lisa Ward. Incidentally, Charles Ward was one of the brothers who founded Rockfield Studios, where Sabbath later rehearsed new material for Volume 4. For the record, The Rebel had been recorded 3 months earlier as...
Wow, this is a good documentary, guys. They really go deep. There's a lot of stuff there that I did not know myself. This is great. I'm digging this. Plus the little splashes of comedy here and there with the sound bites.
Demo titled If Your Heart Lay with a Rebel, Would You Cheer the Underdog by a band called Silence. Silence became Mott the Hoople a year later when Ian Hunter joined as vocalist.
And I like that they actually use music from the band, even if it's, second, third generation bootleg recordings, whatever. I don't care. It's actual music from the band. So, fuck, here we go. Come on, asshole is the last string.
2 months after recording The Rebel, Sabbath laid down a track that was written by Haynes, a composition called When I Come Down, later retitled When I Came Down. The band didn't feel these cover songs quite fit their sensibility, but they went along with the sessions to provide their manager with material to pitch to record labels. The very first time Changes was covered was only months after it was released. An American band named Crystal Saint covered the song in early 1973. I'm feeling happy. Oddly, they give no props to Sabbath in interviews or a writing credit on the 45, but they did list the correct song publisher. In 2003, Ozzy and his daughter Kelly re-recorded the tune with amended lyrics, turning it into a sentimental father-daughter version. I love you, Daddy. The cover sold 300,000 units in the UK, boosted by the popularity of their MTV reality show, The Osbournes. It took so long. The Carnegans and Kelly Clarkson delivered their unique takes on the song, while Eminem incorporated a sample of it into his track, Going Through Changes. Meanwhile, Charles Bradley's soulful rendition truly captivated audiences, amassing over 40 million views on YouTube. His powerful version also became the theme song for Netflix's animated series, Big Mouth. While Changes divided fans in its time, its impact is undeniable. Black Sabbath broke new ground as one of the first hard rock bands to deliver a ballad steeped in personal heartbreak and raw emotions. With Changes, they redefined how heavy bands could express vulnerability, paving the way for a hallmark of 1980s metal, the power ballad. If the Dark Lords of Rock could bare their souls, why couldn't others? Ozzy himself revisited this emotional terrain after leaving Sabbath. His first collaboration with Randy Rhoads, Goodbye to Romance, served as a poignant farewell to his Sabbath days. Later with Jakey Lee, he delivered the deeply resonant So Tired and cemented his mastery of emotionally charged songwriting with one of his biggest hits, Mama, I'm Coming Home, a track that I believe was built on the foundations laid by Changes. By making it cool for hard rock bands to embrace emotion, Ozzy and Sabbath inspired an entire generation of LA strip bands.
Awesome. Including Van Halen.
A great track on Volume 4
it's a good documentary, man. I'm going to recommend all you guys check it out. What the hell is it? All I know is just called Black Sabbath. Just check out Black Sabbath Volume 4 documentary. I'm going to come back with my better looking half and do a workout. I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to come back later on. And later on, after the workout, after I work the workout, after I eat dinner, I'll come back and break in these strings. Most likely in private. I'll go live tomorrow, guys. I'm going to break these strings in. Work on some guitar solos. Work on some new riffs I've been working on. I gotta get to the new music, man. I haven't come out with anything new since 2022. That's pathetic. It's fucking 4 years. All right. The good thing is, I'm still playing, right? All right. All right, buddy. Thanks for joining. What's going on, brother? What's going on, Ivan? Hey, Let's chill like this tonight. I'm chilling right now, bro. No, I'm getting off work in 50 minutes and I'll bring the Dos Equis and tequila. Well, right now, we're gonna do a workout with my better looking half. And hey, and later on, thank you, brother. Thank you, Geographic Guide. Appreciate you. How Pedro Almeida Santos. Obrigado, hermano. Fabian. Gracias. Everybody, have a good one. I might come back on later, but I'm definitely gonna come back on about 15 minutes with my better looking half. We're gonna do a workout, so I'll go live for the workout, and I may come on later on. I gotta break these strings in. I may do it online. I may do it in private. I'll let you guys know. Cheers.